I'm Captain Lydia Brooks, 32 years old, and I've spent the last decade serving in the U.S. Army. I've led training teams, managed supply operations under pressure, and earned a reputation for being steady when things get messy. My uniform still hangs in my closet even while I'm home on leave, because it reminds me who I am. I've spent most of my adult life in bases far from my small hometown of Ashford, South Carolina. People there still picture me as the quiet kid who followed the rules. They don't know the version of me who can run an operation, negotiate with difficult people, and keep a straight face when everything's going wrong. Coming home from my wedding feels strange after so much time overseas. David Harrison, my fiancé, is a civil engineer from Charleston who understands my schedule and my dry humor. We met when I was stationed at Fort Stewart and he was managing a construction project nearby. He isn't military, but he gets my early mornings, my habit of scanning exits, and the way I plan everything 3 steps ahead. We decided to hold our wedding back in Ashford because my parents kept hinting it would mean a lot to them. I wanted a simple ceremony with a small guest list, but my parents turned it into a local event of the year before I even signed off on the invitations. Driving into town, I see banners for the upcoming Magnolia Festival hanging from the lampposts. The houses along Main Street look exactly as they did when I left: fresh paint, manicured lawns, and porch flags for every holiday. My parents' house sits at the end of a cul-de-sac behind a white fence. It's big, immaculate, and full of antiques my mother polished every Saturday when we were kids. On paper, they're the picture of small-town success. My dad chairs the Homeowners Association and is a deacon at the First Baptist Church. My mom leads the Ladies Guild and organizes fundraisers. People look at them and see stability, discipline, and good Southern manners. My younger sister, Chloe Brooks, is 28. She still lives in Ashford and has always been the people's favorite. Blonde hair, big smile, and a way of talking that makes people feel special. She was the cheer captain, homecoming queen, and the girl who could mess up and still be forgiven because she was going through a hard time. I was the one who cleaned up, paid my own way, and did things right. At least that's how I remember it. My parents framed her pageant crowns in the hallway. My Army awards are in a box in the attic. I arrived 2 days before the wedding to finalize details. The guest list is over 200 people, local officials, church leaders, business owners. It feels like a town meeting disguised as a wedding. My mom has a clipboard and a Bluetooth headset on as she directs florists around the church. "Lydia, sweetheart, the rehearsal dinner's at 7 sharp tonight," she says without looking up from her notes. "Chloe will pick up your dress from the seamstress this afternoon." Her tone is warm but brisk, the way she talks to volunteers at a charity luncheon. Chloe breezes into the kitchen a few minutes later, wearing yoga pants and a designer top. She hugs me quickly, smells like expensive perfume, and immediately starts talking about herself. "Brad still hasn't proposed," she complains. "Can you believe it? We've been together for almost 3 years, and he's dragging his feet." She glances at my engagement ring. "But lucky you, David's such a catch." She says it with a smile, but there's a tightness around her mouth. I unpack in my old room upstairs. The wallpaper is still pale blue with tiny white flowers, the same as when I left for basic training. My mom has laid out monogrammed towels and a silver tray with tea packets. It looks staged, like a guest room in a model home. I'm not used to being back under their roof. In the Army, my quarters are small, but they're mine. Here, everything smells like lemon polish and control. The rehearsal dinner that night is at the country club on the edge of town. David's parents drive up from Charleston. They're polite and friendly, asking about my deployments without prying. My dad dominates the conversation with stories about HOA victories and church renovations. My mom keeps glancing at the door, waiting for important guests to arrive. Chloe shows up late in a red dress that makes everyone turn their heads. She sits next to David and keeps touching his arm when she talks. He shifts slightly away, but she doesn't notice. During dessert, I overhear my mom whispering to my dad about Chloe's situation and keeping her calm until after the wedding. I don't know what they mean, but it makes my stomach tighten. Years of military training have taught me to notice small signals. Something isn't right. I excuse myself and step outside to call David, but he's still at the table listening politely to my dad talk about zoning laws. Back inside, Chloe corners me near the bar. "You know, everyone's expecting this wedding to be perfect," she says. "It would be a shame if anything went wrong." Her tone is light, but her eyes don't match her smile. I tell her we're keeping things under control, but she just laughs and walks off. That night, I drive back to my parents' house alone because David is staying at a hotel with his family. It's a warm southern evening, crickets loud in the yard. My mom is waiting in the kitchen, hair perfectly styled even though it's late. "Sweetheart, you look exhausted," she says, handing me a cup of chamomile tea. "This will help you sleep." I hesitate. She's never made me tea before. But I'm tired, and arguing feels pointless. I take a sip. It's sweet with a bitter aftertaste. I go upstairs and set the cup down on the nightstand. My head feels heavy. I text David goodnight, but my fingers slip on the keyboard. In the hallway, I hear my mother's low voice and Chloe's sharper one. "This is the only way," Chloe says. "Do it or I'm gone for good." Their words blur together as the room tilts. I try to stand, but my knees buckle. I catch a glimpse of the doorway and a shadow moving closer. The sound of clippers buzzes faintly, mixing with Chloe's voice. My eyelids grow heavy as I reach for my phone but can't grasp it. Everything goes dark before I can understand what's happening. Cold air from the ceiling vent brushes my skin as I blink into the dim light. My head feels heavier than my body, and my fingers clutch the edge of the mattress for balance. The smell of lemon polish drifts up from the hallway. A shape moves past the door. The faint click of a lock. My heart starts racing the way it does before a live fire exercise. I push myself upright, steadying my breathing. The carpet under my bare feet feels rougher than I remember. My vision steadies and I catch my reflection in the dresser mirror. My hair is gone, the skin on my scalp uneven and exposed. My throat tightens but no sound comes out. I'm not crying. My training kicks in first. Observe, orient, decide, act. I grab the phone from the nightstand, but it's dead. Someone unplugged the charger. Voices drift from downstairs, low and urgent. I recognize my mother's practiced calm and Chloe's sharper tone cutting through it. "Just make sure she's quiet until the ceremony," Chloe says. My jaw clenches. I pull on a hoodie from my bag and slide my feet into sneakers. The hoodie hood feels strange against bare skin. I move toward the door and press my ear to it. The voices stop. Floorboards creak below. I slip into the hallway. The framed photos of Chloe's pageant wins line the wall like trophies. My army commendations aren't there. My parents' bedroom door is open. Suitcases stacked neatly in the corner. There's a faint smell of hair clippings near the laundry room. I open the door and see a cordless clipper on the counter, still with dark strands tangled in the blade. My scalp tingles. I take a photo of it with my phone, even though the battery icon flashes red. The picture saves. Aunt Ruth's number is still in my favorites. She answers on the second ring. "Lydia?" she says. It's 5 a.m. Her voice turns sharp when she hears my tone. "Stay calm. I'm coming over." I tell her not to too obvious, but she insists she can handle my parents. Ruth has always been blunt, the only one in the family who didn't act like Chloe's stage manager. She raised 3 kids on a teacher's salary and still managed to save for retirement. She knows how to read people. By the time she arrives, my mother is already in the kitchen setting out plates like nothing happened. Chloe sits at the counter scrolling through her phone, a smile flickering across her face. My dad is outside talking to someone on his own phone, his back turned. Ruth walks in without knocking. "Well, good morning," she says cheerfully. "What's with all the drama so early?" Her eyes dart to my head, then back to my face. She doesn't react. "Just wedding jitters," my mom says. "Lydia's been under stress." Ruth pulls out a chair and sits down. "Stress doesn't shave your head in the middle of the night," she says. "We need to talk." My dad comes back in, forcing a smile. "Not now, Ruth. Big day ahead." I step closer to Chloe. She looks up, pretending to be confused. "What's wrong with you?" she asks. "Why are you dressed like that?" "You tell me," I say quietly. Her fingers tighten around her phone. For a second, the smile drops. Ruth interrupts. "Lydia, let's get some air." She takes my arm and steers me out to the porch. We sit on the swing where my grandmother used to drink sweet tea. The morning sun cuts through the trees. Ruth lowers her voice. "Tell me everything," she says. I give her the facts without dramatics. The tea, the clippers, the voices, waking up like this. She listens, eyes narrowing. "Do you have any proof?" she asks. I show her the photo of the clippers. Good, she says. We'll need more. I still have access to their Ring account from when I helped set it up for your grandmother's visits. They never changed the admin password. We can pull last night's footage before they erase it. Back inside, my mom is on the phone with the florist, acting like nothing is wrong. Chloe scrolls Instagram. My dad's pacing the backyard. Ruth sits at the table with her iPad and starts downloading. The footage shows Chloe carrying a towel and my mother handing her a cup. My father stands by the hallway door looking nervous. No sound yet, just video. Ruth digs for the audio channel. When the sound loads, the kitchen fills with voices from the night before. Chloe's voice is unmistakable. Cut her hair, do it now, or I'm gone for good. My mother. This isn't right. My father. We have no choice. Another male voice mutters something about keeping the story straight. It's not David's voice. My stomach twists. Ruth press pause. That's enough for now, she says. Email this to yourself and to me. Then act like nothing's happened. Don't tip them off. I follow her instructions, slipping my phone into my pocket once the files send. My mother glances at me from the sink but says nothing. Chloe hums along with a song on her phone, out of tune. David texts me, "Rehearsal breakfast in an hour?" I answer, "Yes." My hands shake but my face stays neutral. Years of briefings and inspections trained me for this. Ruth squeezes my shoulder. "You're not alone," she says. I walk upstairs to change. My scalp itches under the hoodie. In the mirror, I look like a different person. Still me, but stripped down. I run water over my face and take a deep breath. The plan is forming in my head like an operations order. Situation, mission, execution, sustainment. They wanted a perfect wedding to polish their image. They're going to get something else. Downstairs, Chloe chats on speakerphone with someone. "Don't worry, it's handled," she says. "She won't ruin anything." She spots me and hangs up fast. "You're awfully quiet," she says, smiling. "I'm thinking," I reply. Ruth stands by the door holding her iPad. "We'll talk later," she says softly. My mother hands me a plate of toast like it's any other morning. "Eat something, sweetheart. Big day ahead." Her eyes flicker to my head for just a second. I take the plate, sit at the table, and force myself to chew slowly. My heart pounds, but my face stays calm. Each bite tastes like cardboard. Chloe scrolls her phone again. My dad's footsteps creak above us. The house smells like flowers and lemon polish. Ruth watches from the porch as if she's just enjoying the weather. Her presence steadies me. My phone buzzes again, David checking directions to the country club. I type back quickly. The toast is gone before I notice. I set the plate down and wipe my hands. My scalp tingles where the hair used to be. My hoodie feels heavier on my shoulders. I push my chair back quietly. The hallway smells faintly of fresh flowers and hairspray as I move back toward my room. My fingers brush against the wall where pictures of Chloe line up like trophies. The soft murmur of voices drifts up from the kitchen and then stops. I open the door to my room and close it behind me without a sound. The hoodie feels too warm now, so I pull it off and sit on the edge of the bed. My scalp is tender where the clippers grazed it. I press a cold water bottle from my bag against the skin and let the chill steady me. The phone buzzes again. "David. Leaving hotel. See you soon." I type back. "I'm fine. Meet you at the church." The words look calm, even though my hands tremble. I check the file transfers one more time. The videos and audio clips sit in my email, safely copied to Ruth's tablet too. I take a long drink of water and stand up. Years of military briefings taught me to look composed even when nothing is under control. My reflection in the mirror shows dark circles under my eyes, but my shoulders squared. The dress bag hanging on the closet door looks like a ghost. I touch the fabric and pull my hand back. Downstairs, footsteps shuffle. Ruth is still on the porch pretending to read emails. My mother is humming as she fills a vase. Chloe's laugh cuts through like a bell. I move toward the stairs, each step quiet. In the kitchen, my mother turns, startled to see me. "You should rest," she says. "It's a big day." Her eyes flick to my scalp and then away. "I'm up," I answer simply. Chloe smirks over her coffee. "You're brave. I'll give you that," she says softly. Most brides would be hiding. I ignore her and open the fridge for a bottle of water. My dad comes in from the backyard, wiping his hands on a towel. "Car's gassed up," he mutters, not meeting my eyes. Ruth stands and stretches as if she's been sitting too long. We should get going soon, she says. Her tone is easy, but her eyes meet mine briefly. The drive to Grace Chapel is 10 minutes. The church sits on a hill surrounded by oak trees. Inside, volunteers set up flowers and pew bows. The scent of lilies hits me as I walk down the aisle to check the setup. The organist rehearses a few notes. My shoes echo against the polished floor. David is near the front, speaking with the pastor. He looks relieved when he sees me, but doesn't ask questions. He simply hugs me and whispers, "You look strong." His hand brushes my shoulder, a subtle show of support. I nod once. "Everything okay here?" I ask. "Sound system's ready," he says. "Florist just left. Pastor wants a quick run-through." I glance at the pews filling with programs and name cards. 200 guests, 200 potential witnesses. My stomach tightens, but my face stays neutral. Chloe walks in wearing a pale blue dress, hair perfectly curled. She floats down the aisle like she owns the place. Volunteers smile at her as she passes. She stops in front of me. "You're going to embarrass yourself," she says under her breath. I tilt my head. "You've already tried that," I answer quietly. Her smile twitches. "This town loves me," she says. "They'll believe whatever I tell them." I lean in just enough so only she can hear. "Not when they hear your own voice," I say. Then I walk past her without waiting for a reply. The rehearsal begins. Pastor Jenkins runs through the order. Who stands where, what music plays. I go through the motions like a drill. My head is bare under the light, but I keep my posture straight. People glance but look away quickly. David squeezes my hand. After the rehearsal, Ruth calls me to the side. "Got more," she whispers, sliding her phone toward me. The audio now includes the male voice clearly. "Make sure she's sedated. She can't cause a scene." "Who is that?" I ask. "Friend of your sister's. Lawyer, maybe. He's been at the country club meetings with your dad," Ruth says. "I'll dig more tonight." "Not tonight," I say quietly. "We already have enough." She nods once. Back at my parents' house for lunch, the atmosphere is brittle. My mother fusses with the seating chart. My dad checks his watch every few minutes. Chloe scrolls her phone, nails tapping the screen. Ruth sits at the end of the table sipping coffee like she's at a picnic. "I need some time alone to get ready," I say, standing. "Of course," my mother replies quickly. "The stylist will be here at 3. "I don't need a stylist," I say, and walk upstairs. In my old room, I lock the door and open my laptop. The files are still there. I type out a short speech, nothing dramatic, just facts and a calm voice. Years of briefing kernels taught me how to lay out information cleanly. No theatrics, just truth. I change into workout clothes and do a set of push-ups, then squats. The movement steadies my breathing. Sweat beads at my temples. My scalp stings where it's bare. I splash water on my face and look at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back doesn't look broken. She looks like she's planning something. The doorbell rings downstairs. Voices rise, delivery people, florists, neighbors dropping off gifts. Chloe laughs loudly at something. My phone buzzes with another text from David. "You okay?" I send back a thumbs-up emoji, then delete it. No emojis. I type, "I'm good." I pull the dress from the garment bag and hang it on the closet door. The lace catches the light. My hands smooth the fabric automatically. Tomorrow at this time, the truth will already be out. A knock at the door. "Lydia?" "Hairstylist's here," my mother calls. "Not needed," I answer. Silence. Then footsteps retreat. I sit on the bed and lace up my running shoes. Ruth's text arrives. Everything set on my end. I don't reply. The afternoon light slants through the blinds. In the distance, the church bells chime 4 o'clock. I stand, pick up my notes, and slip them into my bag. Downstairs, Chloe's voice carries. She won't see it coming. A male laugh follows. I pause at the top of the stairs, listening. My mother says something too low to catch. I descend slowly, each step measured. The house smells like gardenias and lemon polish. The front door is open to let in the warm air. Ruth leans against the porch rail, scrolling her tablet. David's car pulls up at the curb. He gets out, suit jacket over his arm, eyes scanning the porch until he finds me. He smiles, small and steady. I step onto the porch, the wooden boards creaking under my weight. My scalp tingles under the Sunday. Ruth closes her tablet and straightens. David takes my hand. No one speaks. David's fingers slide from mine as I step back into the house. The air inside feels cooler than outside, almost too clean, like a hotel lobby. My bag sits at the foot of the stairs where I left it. I climb up, the wooden steps creaking softly under my weight. In my room, the dress hangs on the door, lace shimmering in the slanted afternoon light. I close the door and lock it, lean my back against it, and breathe once, slow and deep. My scalp is still tender from the clippers, a reminder with every movement of my head. The bathroom mirror shows a face I recognize and a head I barely do. Pale skin where hair should be, jaw tight, eyes steady. There's a bruise forming at the base of my neck from where I must have slumped forward. I touch it lightly and let go. No tears, no theatrics, just information. I splash cold water on my face, dab it dry with a towel, and pull on a fresh t-shirt. Downstairs, footsteps and low conversation. Someone laughs Chloe, probably. I hear my mother's voice giving instructions to someone about flowers. My dad's voice is lower, clipped. The noise fades as I focus on the next step. My laptop sits open on the desk. The files are still in my email. I check the backup on a thumb drive, slip it into my bag. Years of deployments taught me always to carry redundancy. A knock at the door. Lydia, makeup artists here. My mother's tone is gentle but thin. Not needed, I say through the door. Pause. Then footsteps retreat. I kneel beside the bed and pull out a small box from my bag. Inside is my army name tape, my unit patch, and a thin chain with a small medal. I clasp the chain around my neck. The metal feels cool against my skin. Not decoration, just a reminder of who I am. The phone vibrates, a text from Ruth. I'm at the church. Everything's in place. I send back a simple, good. I stand and open the garment bag. The dress is elegant but simple ivory lace with a straight silhouette. I slide it on carefully, the fabric cool and smooth. Without hair, the neckline looks sharper against my collarbones. I adjust the straps, then drape the veil loosely, so it hangs behind me instead of over my face. The effect is deliberate, not hiding, not dramatic, just honest. Another knock, this time Chloe's voice. You're going to ruin everything if you don't cooperate, she says, softly through the door. I don't answer. Her voice sharpens. People are here. You're making it worse. Still no response. She mutters something under her breath and walks away. I slip into low heels and pick up my small clutch with the speech folded inside. The thumb drive is tucked into the lining. My phone is charged enough for what I need. I straighten once more in the mirror. The woman staring back isn't the cadet who left for basic training years ago. She's steadier, harder, but still standing. I open the door and walk down the hall. The house smells like perfume and fresh flowers. On the landing, a box of programs for the ceremony sits half open. I pass the family portraits without looking at them. In the kitchen, my mother is fussing with a tray of hors d'oeuvres for later. She turns when she hears my footsteps, and for a split second her face shows something like fear. "Sweetheart, you're beautiful," she says quickly. Chloe stands by the window scrolling her phone. She glances up and smirks. "Interesting choice," she says, nodding at my uncovered head. I set my clutch on the counter. "We're leaving now," I tell my mother. She hesitates. "The photographer will photograph what's real," I say. My dad comes in from the backyard holding his tie. He stops when he sees me, expression unreadable. "Car's ready," he mutters. We file out to the driveway. The car smells like leather and air freshener. I slide into the back seat with Ruth, who has just arrived in her own car and parked behind us. She squeezes my hand but says nothing. David is already at the church waiting. The ride is silent except for the hum of the tires. I watch the trees blur past the window. The church spire rises above the town as we approach. People are already gathering outside, dressed in their best. A few glance at the car, curious. Inside the church, volunteers hustle to finish last-minute details. The organist practices the processional. Sunlight streams through stained glass onto the polished floor. Ruth helps me out of the car and steadies my arm as we walk toward the side entrance. In the bridal room, a small mirror hangs over a sink. I check my makeup, adjust the straps of my dress. Chloe flits in and out, checking her phone, giving instructions to someone on a headset like she's stage managing a pageant. "You don't have to go through with this," she says casually. "We could just cancel." I look at her in the mirror. No, I say simply. She shrugs and leaves. Ruth closes the door. Everything's ready, she says quietly. Sound check complete. Tyson has the files. Good, I reply. We sit for a moment in the quiet. The organist's notes drift in from the sanctuary. I fold my hands in my lap. My scalp tingles under the veil. Ruth adjusts the clasp at the back of my dress. You're steady, she says softly. I've been steadier, I answer. She smiles faintly. Outside the door, footsteps shuffle and voices murmur. The scent of lilies is stronger now. My phone buzzes one last time. David, at the altar. I type, on my way, and slip the phone back into the clutch. I stand, smooth the dress once more, and pick up the clutch. Ruth opens the door. The hallway is empty except for a volunteer adjusting flowers at the end. We walk toward the sanctuary. The muffled sound of guests taking their seats filters through the wooden doors. The air feels heavier, full of perfume and anticipation. My heartbeat slows to a steady rhythm. Observe, orient, decide, act. The double doors stand ahead, tall and white. I pause for a breath, shoulders back, chin level. Ruth steps aside as the usher signals. The first notes of the processional begin to play. I take one step forward, then another. The veil trails behind me, thin and transparent. Faces turn as I enter. A ripple moves through the crowd as they see me. Head bare, dress perfect, eyes steady. David waits at the altar, hands clasped. The pastor glances up, expression flickering. I keep walking, the sound of my heels echoing in the hush. Each step is measured, deliberate. My eyes stay on David, but my awareness takes in everything: the guests, the cameras, the microphones. The truth sits ready in my clutch, like a live round. The organ swells as I reach the halfway point of the aisle. My scalp tingles under the light. People whisper, but no one speaks aloud. David's expression is calm, solid. I reach the front pews, the scent of lilies strong enough to taste. My father shifts uncomfortably. My mother's hands grip her program too tightly. Chloe sits in the second row, smile fixed, phone hidden in her lap. I step onto the altar platform beside David. He takes my hand. The pastor clears his throat. The music fades. The ceremony begins. The pastor's voice blends with the organ as the opening words of the ceremony roll out. David's hand stays on mine, warm and steady, and for a few seconds all I hear is breathing, shuffling, and the rustle of programs in 200 hands. My scalp stings under the lights, but my eyes stay fixed on the man beside me. The vows begin, but my focus drifts to the side aisle where Ruth stands, disguised as another guest, her tablet tucked inside a leather folio. When the choir starts a hymn, I let my gaze travel over the pews. Chloe sits 2 rows back, leaning in to whisper to my mother. Their heads bend close, lips moving quickly. My father stares straight ahead, jaw clenched. I shift my weight slightly and give Ruth a brief nod. She moves toward the back where Tyson is running the soundboard. Tyson Wynn looks like any other AV Tech black polo, headset, clipboard. But I know he was one of Ruth's students at the high school and trusts her implicitly. Ruth recruited him when she realized we needed someone who understood the building's system. He's the reason the files are loaded on a hidden channel in the soundboard. The reason we have an alternate input line that no one else can cut. The hymn ends. The pastor asks the congregation to sit. David squeezes my hand once more, as if to remind me that even though the day looks like a circus, he's still here. I breathe out slowly and repeat the vow words clearly. My voice doesn't shake. After the rings are exchanged, the ceremony moves into a reading. The guests bow their heads. I catch Ruth slipping out through a side door. She texts me as she goes, "Video verified, audio clear, back in 2." I slip my phone back into my clutch without anyone noticing. The ceremony ends with applause. David and I walk back down the aisle together, faces calm, cameras flashing. The smell of lilies mixes with perfume and hairspray. Outside the church, guests line up to throw petals. I smile for photos without blinking. David leans in and whispers, "You're incredible." At the reception hall, chandeliers glitter over round tables draped in ivory cloth. The Palmetto Pine staff moves quickly, pouring champagne, arranging platters of food. Guests drift from the bar to the dance floor, laughing and snapping pictures. Chloe floats from group to group, soaking up attention. My parents stand near the head table greeting the mayor. Everything looks like a picture-perfect Southern wedding. Ruth intercepts me near the kitchen door. "We've got everything," she says quietly. "Video, audio, timestamps, and Tyson's ready on the cue." I nod once. "Good." She studies my face. "You okay?" "I'm focused," I answer. David joins us, setting down his glass. "Everything running smooth?" he asks. "Smooth enough," Ruth says. We move toward a small side room off the main hall. Tyson is there, crouched over a laptop connected to the hall's projector and speakers. The screen shows still frames from last night. Chloe holding the towel, my mother handing her the cup, my father looking away. In the audio clip, Chloe's voice is sharp. "Cut her hair, do it now, or I'm gone for good." The male voice mutters instructions. My jaw tightens, but my pulse stays steady. Tyson adjusts a slider. "I've cued the clips," he says. "When you're ready, hit this button. It'll play on every speaker and every screen in the hall. No one can override it from the main booth because I rerouted the feed." I glance at Ruth. "Nice work," I say. Tyson shrugs. "Ruth said you'd need a clean drop. This is as clean as it gets." David puts his arm lightly around my back. "You sure about doing it here?" he asks. I nod. This is their stage. They set it. We'll use it. We step back into the hall. Guests are seated for dinner. The band starts a light jazz number. My mother clinks her glass to call for attention, smiling broadly. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the reception of our beloved Lydia and David." Applause ripples through the room. Chloe beams at the head table like she planned the whole event. The food is served. People chatter and eat. David and I move from table to table greeting guests. The mayor shakes my hand and thanks me for my service. An old teacher hugs me and says she's proud. I smile, thank them, and keep moving. Ruth trails behind, watching everything. At the dessert table, Chloe corners me. "You're not seriously thinking of making a scene, are you?" she asks under her breath. "Because if you do, you'll regret it." I look at her steadily. "Enjoy your cake," I say. She glares but says nothing. Back at the head table, Ruth slips me a small card with a single word, "Ready." I tuck it under my napkin. David notices but doesn't ask. The band switches to a slower song. Guests drift to the dance floor. My father stands at the microphone, raising a glass for a toast. "To our daughter Lydia and her wonderful husband David," he says, voice full of pride. "We are honored to host this beautiful day." Cameras flash. Chloe dabs at her eyes theatrically. I lift my own glass but don't drink. My scalp tingles under the lights. My hand slides into my clutch and finds the small remote Tyson gave me. My thumb rests on the button. The room buzzes with conversation, clinking glasses, and laughter. I watch Ruth take a seat near the projector, her posture casual, eyes sharp. Tyson stands by the AV rack pretending to adjust cables. David shifts his chair slightly closer to mine. The band ends the song. My father gestures to the bandleader for another. I keep my eyes on the crowd, memorizing faces, voices, and positions the way I used to memorize layouts of supply depots. My pulse slows into a rhythm I know well, just before action. I lower my glass, set it down, and smooth the skirt of my dress. The chatter dips for a second as someone taps a microphone. Ruth gives a tiny nod from across the room. Tyson adjusts a dial. David's hand brushes mine under the table. The chandeliers throw bright light across the hall. The scent of gardenias mixes with roasted chicken and champagne. A child at the next table laughs loudly. My mother leans toward my father, whispering something. Chloe lifts her phone to check a message, smiling at the screen. I press the button in my clutch once to test the signal. A small green light flashes on the remote. Everything's armed. I take a slow breath, the kind I use before stepping into a briefing with generals. My fingers curl around the edge of the table. Guests begin clinking their glasses for the newlyweds to kiss. I lean toward David and whisper something that makes him smile faintly. Ruth's eyes meet mine across the room. Tyson's hand hovers over his keyboard. My father raises his glass again, calling for attention. "To family," he says. The crowd echoes, "To family." Glasses clink. Chloe tilts her head back and laughs. I straighten in my chair, eyes sweeping the room one more time. Every detail in place, every sound clear. My heart is steady, my breathing even. The truth sits ready to move from hidden files to public sound. The weight of the remote stays hidden in my clutch as I rise from the head table and walk toward the back corridor, my dress brushing against polished wood floors. David stands up too, moving with me naturally so no one notices anything unusual. The low hum of conversation continues behind us. Forks scrape plates. A waiter laughs softly near the bar. We slip through the service door into the narrow hallway lined with storage closets and staff rooms. The sudden quiet feels like stepping onto a rifle range before a shot. I inhale once, slow and steady. My mind shifts into the familiar focus I learned in training. Break the objective into small actions. Eliminate noise. Control the timing. Ruth is already waiting, a plain folder in her hand. She's changed into flat shoes to move faster. Tyson stands beside her, holding a flash drive and a small recorder. He's pale but composed. I pulled every clip from the security system, Ruth says. Front porch, kitchen, and hallway. We have their voices, faces, and timestamps. Tyson helped me mirror it to 3 different drives. Tyson lifts the flash drive. All copies encrypted. Even if they try to pull the plug, it's already uploaded to a secure folder. I nod, scanning the items quickly. Good. Now I want everything lined up in order. Audio, video, prescription bottle photos, receipt email, hair and clippers, pictures. No gaps. David closes the door behind us and stands with his back to it, watching the corridor. His eyes are alert the way I've seen soldiers stand watch. No one's coming yet, he murmurs. I spread the contents of the folder across a catering table. Each photo, each document is another round of ammunition. I mark them with a pen, numbering them for sequence. My handwriting is calm and clear. This isn't just a slideshow, I say quietly. It's an evidence presentation. We show the act, the planning, and the result. No commentary, no speeches. Let the images and voices speak for themselves. Ruth nods. Like a briefing, she says. Exactly, I reply. Tyson taps on his laptop, arranging files in order. I'll fade between clips. It'll look like one continuous feed. Audio levels normalized, so the voices are clear even over crowd noise. I glance at David. How's the room? They're distracted, he says. Your sister's on her 3rd glass of wine. Your mother's talking to the mayor. Perfect time to move equipment if you need. Ruth holds up a silk scarf. Here, for cover, she says. Walk back in with this over your head. No one will guess what you're carrying. I drape it over my bare scalp and tuck the flash drive and remote into a small pocket sewn inside the dress. My movements are precise and efficient, habits drilled into me from years of inspections and missions. We head back toward the hall. As we reach the door, a staff member appears with a tray. I step aside, letting him pass without making eye contact. When the path is clear, we return to the reception. The band is mid-song, guests are laughing, oblivious. Tyson peels off toward the AV booth. Ruth blends into a group of older guests. David escorts me back to the head table as though nothing happened. From my seat, I see Tyson plug the flash drive into the hidden input and test the feed. The screens flicker once, then return to the slideshow of engagement photos my mother prepared. No one notices. I sip water and watch Chloe across the room. She's smiling too brightly, her phone in her hand. My parents are speaking to the bank president, nodding gravely. Every detail locks into place in my mind like a tactical diagram. The band ends the song. A waiter refills glasses. My father signals for the microphone again. A few words from the bride, he says. Say something to our guests, Lydia. I rise, my face calm. The room quiets. 200 people turn toward me. Thank you all for being here, I say. Your presence means a lot. My voice is steady and clear. Today is about truth, respect, and the commitments we make to each other. I hold up my glass and smile faintly. Guests nod and smile back, expecting another polite toast. My thumb finds the button inside my clutch and presses it once. The band's speakers cut out. The screens at each end of the hall flicker. A new sound rolls through the room. My sister's voice from the porch camera, sharp and undeniable. Cut her hair off or you'll lose me forever. Heads turn. Conversations die instantly. My mother's hand freezes on her glass. My father lowers the microphone slowly. The video changes to show the kitchen footage. My mother handing me the cup. My father holding the clippers. Chloe pacing behind them. The audio continues. We'll do it quickly. She won't remember much of it anyway. gasps ripple across the room. Someone near the back mutters, "Oh my God." I stand perfectly still at the head table, eyes forward, letting the evidence speak. The screens show the prescription bottle with my sister's name, the pharmacy receipt with my father's credit card, the clippers wrapped in a towel, strands of my hair. Each image lingers just long enough to register before moving on. The male laughter at the edge of the recording plays next. The voice says, "She won't fight back." Guests crane their necks, whispering. I scan the crowd. Chloe's face drains of color. My mother's lips move soundlessly. My father grips the microphone stand, knuckles white. Ruth stands by the projector, her presence calm and solid. Tyson's hands hover over his laptop, but he doesn't need to touch anything. The plan runs itself. David stays seated, his hand on the table, expression unreadable to everyone but me. The audio ends. The room is silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. 200 pairs of eyes shift from the screens to my family. I take a slow breath and speak into the microphone. "This is not a mistake or an accident," I say. My voice is even. "This is what happened less than 24 hours ago." A murmur rises from the guests. Someone says, "That's assault." Another whispers, "They drugged her?" I don't answer. I simply hold my head high, the sheer veil catching the light, my bare scalp visible under the fabric. Every camera phone in the room points toward me now, capturing the moment exactly as I intended. My father tries to speak, but the microphone stays off. Tyson cut it from the board. Chloe stands, trembling, then sits back down. My mother's eyes dart around the room, looking for an exit. I remain steady, my feet planted firmly, shoulders squared. The scent of gardenias is sharp now, mixed with the tang of champagne. The chandeliers hum faintly. The guests begin shifting, their murmurs louder. A neighbor says loudly, "We thought you were perfect." Someone else, "This is disgusting." And I don't react. My training taught me to hold position until the objective is complete. Ruth steps forward from the projector, silent but unmistakably supportive. Tyson closes the laptop lid. David rises slowly to stand beside me. The hall is a tableau. Guests frozen between forks and glasses, my family at the center, the evidence on screen behind them. Light glints off crystal and polished wood. My pulse stays steady, each beat a drum of clarity. I adjust the microphone height slightly, my fingers sure and controlled, and look out over the crowd, my eyes scanning each face as if I've known them all my life. The room is still heavy with stunned silence as the last image fades from the screen. Guests sit with glasses halfway to their mouths. The mayor's wife leans toward her husband, whispering something sharp. My scalp feels cool under the veil, but my mind is focused. I lower the microphone and hand it to David. He sets it gently on the table, his expression calm, but his shoulders squared like he's ready to back me up physically if necessary. Across the hall, Chloe stares at me with wide eyes, her knuckles white around her phone. My mother's face is pale. My father looks like a man who just lost his script. The same people who used to send us Christmas cards with compliments about our perfect family now stare at them as if seeing strangers. I step down from the head table and walk slowly toward the center of the room. My heels click against the hardwood floor. The sound echoes in the quiet. 2 waiters back away to clear a path. Ruth moves to one side, arms folded. Tyson pretends to adjust a speaker, but I catch the glint of approval in his eyes. I stop in front of the projector screen where my family is still seated. My voice stays even. "You built this day to showcase your image. You planned every detail to make sure it looked perfect. You drugged me and cut my hair because you thought you could still control what everyone saw. This," I gesture to the screen behind me, "is the reality you created." A man at one of the tables mutters, "She should call the police." Someone else says, "This is insane." I keep my gaze on my parents. My father tries to stand but sits back down when I don't move aside. My mother's hand trembles on the back of her chair. Chloe bites her lip and looks down at the tablecloth. "Ladies and gentlemen," I continue, turning to the guests, "I invited you to my wedding. You deserve to know what you were walking into. This isn't a performance. This is my life. These are the people who raised me." A neighbor from our street stands. "I can't believe this," she says loudly. "All these years?" Her voice trails off. The sound of camera shutters clicking begins to ripple across the room. Guests lift their phones. The whole scene becomes evidence from multiple angles. I walk back to the head table and pick up a second microphone from a stand near the band. The band leader steps aside without a word. "We're going to do something different," I tell the crowd. "We're going to have transparency." Ruth moves closer, holding the folder of documents. She lays them on a side table near me. One by one, I take out each piece of evidence and hold it up. The prescription bottle, the printed receipt, the photographs of hair and clippers, each item labeled and dated. Tyson switches the projector to mirror my hands so everyone sees the objects clearly. "This bottle," I say, "was filled 3 days ago. The payment came from my father's card. The receipt is stamped the afternoon before last night. The clippers were found wrapped in a towel with my hair in the trash at their house this morning. You've already heard the audio. This isn't a misunderstanding." The murmurs grow louder. Someone says, "That's premeditated." Another guest stands, crosses his arms, and stares at my father. I set the items back down neatly and return to the microphone. "I'm not asking for sympathy," I tell them. "I'm not here to hide. I'm here to make sure the truth exists outside their version of it." Chloe pushes back her chair suddenly and stands. "You don't know everything," she blurts. "You're twisting this." My voice stays calm. "The recording was your voice. The receipt has his name. The hair was mine. What exactly am I twisting?" She opens her mouth, then closes it again. Her eyes dart toward my mother, who looks away. My father stares straight ahead. I take one step closer to Chloe. "This isn't about me ruining your day," I say. "This is about you and them taking mine and thinking you could still control the story." The guests are dead silent again. Even the staff in the kitchen doorway are watching. David moves to my side, standing just behind my shoulder. His presence feels solid. Ruth folds her arms and stays near the projector like a quiet guard. Tyson watches the soundboard but doesn't touch anything. I scan the crowd once more and lower the microphone slightly. My voice is softer now but still clear. "You all came here expecting to celebrate a wedding. You're still at one. This is me and David choosing to build a life that isn't built on lies or intimidation. You're witnesses. That's all I need from you." "Oh." A low murmur spreads again, but this time it sounds like approval. Someone starts clapping quietly. Others join. The sound is uneven at first, then steadier. My parents remain frozen. Chloe sits down abruptly, eyes glassy. I set the microphone back on the stand. The screens go dark. Tyson closes the laptop. The band leader looks at me, waiting for a cue. I nod once. He starts playing soft instrumental music. Guests begin moving, whispering, some still filming. I return to the head table, sit down, and take a sip of water. My hands are steady. David sits next to me, his palm covering mine. Ruth moves behind us and rests a hand on my shoulder briefly before stepping back. I look at the cake across the room. It's exactly what my mother ordered. 3 tiers, white fondant, magnolia flowers cascading down the side. Guests gather near it, whispering, glancing back at me. My father finally stands, but without the microphone his voice doesn't carry. He gestures toward Chloe and my mother, trying to gather them. They remain seated. I watch them for a moment, then turn my head toward David. "We go on," I say quietly. He nods. The band shifts to a new song. Some guests begin dancing hesitantly. Others cluster in groups, talking in low voices. The scent of food lingers. The chandeliers cast bright reflections on polished glasses and silverware. I straighten my back and fold my hands on the table. Every detail of the hall is sharp. The glint of the ice buckets, the quiet hiss of the espresso machine at the bar, the muted shuffle of shoes on wood. My breathing stays slow and even. Ruth leans in from behind. "Everything's secure," she murmurs. "Files backed up. Multiple locations." "Thank you," I reply quietly. Tyson gives me a discreet thumbs up from across the room. I nod once in return. The music swells a little louder. Guests drift back to their seats with plates of dessert. I can feel eyes on me, but no one speaks to me directly. Chloe stares at her phone, typing furiously. My mother dabs her eyes with a napkin. My father sits stiffly, jaw clenched. I pick up my glass and take another sip, my eyes sweeping the hall. David's hand stays on my arm. Ruth stands near the projector like a sentry. Tyson busies himself with cables. The air feels charged but controlled, like the moments after a decision has been made. I set the glass down and reach for a fork. The cake is being sliced at the far end of the room. Guests line up for a piece, glancing at me as they pass. My dress catches the light with every movement. The band changes tempo, filling the hall with a slow, steady rhythm. My breathing matches it. I glance at David, then at Ruth. My mind is clear, my posture relaxed but alert, every sense tuned to the room. The knife slides through the cake at the far end of the hall, plates clatter softly, and the band keeps its steady rhythm. I rise from my chair and walk toward Chloe. Each step is measured, my heels striking the floor like a metronome. Guests shift out of the way as I move, whispering but not daring to speak to me. The chandeliers glint off crystal glasses, scattering dots of light across my dress. Chloe sits rigidly at her table, phone clutched in both hands. She looks up as my shadow falls across her. Her smile flickers and dies. "What do you want?" she asks quietly, voice brittle. I keep my tone calm. "Stand up," I say. She hesitates. "Why?" "Because hiding behind a table doesn't work anymore," I answer. For a moment, she doesn't move. Then, slowly, she rises. Her phone slips into her clutch. Her posture is tense, shoulders pulled in. Guests around us lean back to give space, eyes wide. The room hums with low murmurs. "I'm not afraid of you," she says, but her voice wavers. "I'm not here to scare you," I say. "I'm here to look you in the eye." Her jaw tightens. "You humiliated me," she says. I tilt my head. "You cut my hair off, drugged me, and tried to stage manage my wedding. You did that to yourself." Color rises in her face. "You don't understand," she blurts. "You think you're better than me because you wear a uniform. They never cared about me. They only cared about you." I keep my voice level, low enough so only nearby guests can hear but steady enough to carry. "I didn't ask them to pit us against each other. You chose to hurt me." "What?" She shakes her head, eyes bright. "I did everything for this family. Every event, every donation, every connection. And you come back from the army like a hero, and they forget I exist." I don't flinch. Being a hero doesn't mean destroying someone else to feel seen. The murmurs around us grow louder. Someone at the next table says, "This is crazy." Another says, "She admitted it." Chloe's breathing quickens. "You don't get it," she says again, but softer now. "I get it," I reply. "I grew up in the same house." Her eyes dart to my mother and father at their table. My mother stares at the floor. My father's face is stiff. I step a little closer. "Look at me, Chloe." She lifts her head reluctantly. "This isn't the army," I say. "This isn't a drill. This is you, me, and what you chose to do." Her lips tremble. She whispers, "I thought if I stopped you from showing up perfect, David would leave. They'd all see you as weak." I blink once. "That's not your call." Her eyes fill, but no tears fall. The tension in her shoulders sags. "Sit down," I say quietly. She sits, staring at her lap. I straighten and turn to the room. My voice rises just enough to reach everyone. "You've heard the recordings. You've seen the evidence. This is my sister. This is my family. And this is me standing here as I am, not as they wanted." A low ripple of applause starts near the back and grows. Not loud, but steady. I don't smile. I simply let it happen. I turn back to Chloe. "You need to leave the hall," I say softly. "Now." She looks up at me, eyes wide. "Where am I supposed to go?" "That's up to you," I say. "But you're not running this anymore." She stands slowly, clutching her clutch. Her knees seem to wobble. Without another word, she walks toward the side door. Guests turn to watch her go. No one stops her. The door swings shut behind her with a soft click. I exhale once. Steady. My scalp tingles under the veil, but my posture stays straight. David steps up beside me, his hand brushing my elbow. His voice is low. "You're all right?" "Yes," I answer simply. We walk back toward the head table together. Guests move aside. The band keeps playing softly. Ruth stands by the projector, her face unreadable, but her eyes bright. Tyson adjusts a cable and gives me a brief nod. At the head table, I pick up my glass and sip water. The liquid is cool, grounding. My fingers no longer shake. The hall smells like cake and champagne. My mother finally rises. She takes a step toward me but stops when our eyes meet. "Lydia," she begins. Her voice falters. I wait, silent. She swallows hard. We didn't mean for it to go that far." "You meant enough," I say. Her hands tremble. She looks back at my father, who stays seated. I set my glass down and stand again, facing them. "You've taught me all my life to smile for the picture, to keep quiet, to make everything look good. You tried to do it one more time. It didn't work." The guests shift uncomfortably. Some avert their eyes. Others keep their phones up, recording. I continue, my tone even. "I won't be silent for your reputation." My mother's face crumples slightly. My father looks at the floor. I return to my seat. David takes my hand. Ruth steps closer to the table, standing behind me like a wall. Tyson stays at the booth, watching. The band changes to a slow instrumental. Guests murmur in low voices, some glancing at the door Chloe left through. Plates clink as people finish their cake. The chandeliers glow warm above us. I breathe slowly, eyes sweeping the room. The tension is no longer chaotic but heavy, like after a storm when the air is still thick. My scalp feels cool, my shoulders square. David leans in, speaking softly so only I hear. "Whatever happens next, you've already shown them." I squeeze his hand once, not looking away from the crowd. At a table near the back, a child asks his mother, "Why did she cut her hair?" The mother hushes him gently. I sit with my back straight, eyes steady, letting the noise of the room wash over me. The scent of flowers and cake mingles with the faint tang of electronics from the AV booth. Every sense is alert, my mind clear. Ruth bends down slightly and murmurs, "The footage is still streaming to the cloud. You're protected." "Good," I reply quietly. I glance at my parents again. They're whispering to each other now, their faces pale. A man in a dark suit at a nearby table watches them intently, phone raised. I fold my hands on the table. The lace of my dress scratches slightly against my skin, but I don't move. The hall seems brighter, sharper, like a field under a cloudless sky. David's thumb strokes the back of my hand once. The band plays on. Guests talk quietly. The door Chloe used remains closed. I sit with my head high, my breathing steady, my eyes taking in every corner of the hall. Nothing about my posture invites pity. Everything about it signals control. The slow instrumental from the band winds down, and the hall's chatter thins into a low murmur. I stand, the lace of my dress brushing against my legs, and begin moving toward the center of the room again. My heels tap out a steady rhythm on the polished wood. Heads turn without anyone daring to call out. The scent of flowers and cake hangs thick in the air, and the chandeliers cast warm light across faces turned toward me. I stop near the aisle between the tables, exactly where the wedding march would have placed me hours earlier. The symmetry of it feels deliberate. My hands hang loosely at my sides. My breathing is even. David rises and follows a few steps behind, then pauses, letting me have the space. Ruth moves unobtrusively to the edge of the crowd, her phone out but low, Tyson at the AV booth with one hand on the board. "I walked down this aisle once already today," I say, my voice calm but clear enough to carry. "I walked it as a bride everyone expected to be perfect. Now you've seen the truth. This isn't an act, and it isn't a stunt. This is my life. I'm mating." A guest near the back mutters, "Unbelievable," another whispers, "She's strong." I take 2 slow steps forward. My parents raised me to respect service, duty, and family. I built my life on those values. I served my country. I earned my rank. I came home to start a new chapter, and instead I woke up drugged and shorn because my sister and parents decided that image mattered more than my dignity. The hall is silent except for the faint clinking of ice and glasses. Chloe's empty chair sits like a marker near the front. My mother looks down at her hands. My father stares fixedly at the tablecloth. "I didn't plan to tell this story here," I continue. "But you're here because they wanted an audience. You've been given one version for years. Now you're seeing another." Murmurs rise and fall. The mayor shifts uncomfortably. A woman at the next table says softly, "She's right to say it." I reach the space in front of the head table and turn to face the room. The projector flickers on with Tyson's help, displaying the still image of my hair in the towel, then the clip of Chloe's voice. Guests gasp even though they've seen it already. Tyson loops it quietly at a low volume behind me, like a muted truth no one can erase. I'm not hiding, I say. They tried to make me look broken. You're seeing me exactly as I am. I take another step, the veil brushing against my shoulders. My scalp tingles under the heat of the lights, but my posture stays steady. My sister isn't here now, I add evenly. She chose to leave this hall. My parents are still here. I'm not going to shout at them. I'm going to say this once, clearly. I turn toward my parents. What you did is not love. Love doesn't drug a daughter. Love doesn't shave her head to save face. Love doesn't sacrifice someone's dignity for a photograph. You taught me discipline, but you also taught me to tell the truth. That's what I'm doing. My mother's eyes brim, but she doesn't speak. My father grips the edge of the table so hard his knuckles whiten. I look back to the guests. If you're wondering why I'm not walking out, it's because this is still my wedding. I'm still here. David's still here. We're building our life openly. David steps forward, takes my hand, and stands beside me. His face is calm, eyes scanning the crowd. His presence at my side is quiet but unshakable. I lift my chin slightly. This is what standing up looks like. Not a uniform, not a rank. Just telling the truth and not backing down. A ripple of applause starts again, stronger this time, rolling through the tables like a wave. Some guests stand, clapping. The sound echoes off the high ceiling. I don't smile. I let the noise rise and settle. The projector fades to black. Tyson shuts down the feed. Ruth steps closer, her posture steady, like she's anchoring the space. I release David's hand and turn back to the aisle, walking slowly down it, each step deliberate. Guests part on either side like water. My dress moves easily, no train dragging. The veil hangs back, sheer enough that nothing is hidden. My eyes scan faces. Former teachers, neighbors, coworkers, the mayor, the bank president, people I grew up around who never saw behind the family facade until now. As I walk, I speak without raising my voice. For years, I've been told to keep the family business private. That's how cycles continue. I'm breaking that here. It ends today. Not with anger, not with theatrics, but with truth. A woman near the aisle dabs her eyes. A man nods slightly. Someone mutters, "About time." I reach the back of the hall near the doors. For a moment, the sunlight from outside falls across the floor, cutting through the chandelier light. I stop and turn back to face the room one last time. David stands near the head table, Ruth at the projector, Tyson at the booth. My parents sit frozen. The guests watch in silence. I served because I believed in accountability, I say evenly. I'm holding to that here. You've seen what happened. You can decide for yourselves what it means. But I'm not ashamed and I'm not silent. My voice doesn't rise or crack. It stays measured, almost conversational. Then I walk back up the aisle the same way I came, returning to David's side. He steps slightly back to let me through, then joins me at the center. The band picks up a slow rhythm again, filling the hall with sound but not covering the murmur of voices. Guests shift, some sitting, some still standing, phones lowered now. I take my seat calmly, lift my glass of water, and drink. The veil slides against my shoulders. My breathing is steady. Ruth leans in and places a hand on my arm briefly, then steps back. Tyson busies himself with cables, his face flushed but composed. My parents sit still, staring at nothing. The empty chair where Chloe sat remains, its napkin crumpled on the seat. The cake glistens under the lights, untouched slices on plates. The chandeliers throw patterns on the polished wood floor. I set my glass down, fold my hands, and look out over the room. 200 eyes look back. My posture stays straight. My scalp tingles under the lights, but I don't shift. I take a quiet breath, every sense alert. The hall is no longer a stage for them. It's just a room with people and truth hanging in the air. I'm in control of myself, my words, and my presence. Nothing in my body suggests retreat. David's hand finds mine again. I let it stay, still looking at the room, still breathing evenly. The band plays on, glasses clink. A child giggles somewhere near the back. The scent of flowers and food lingers. I sit there, calm, steady, aware of every movement in the hall. My eyes clear, my voice ready, my shoulders square. The applause fades into a low rustle as guests shift in their chairs. I rise again, this time not to speak but to move. My heels strike the polished floor softly as I cross to the center of the hall. David stays by the head table, eyes scanning the room, and Ruth glides to the side like a guard taking position. Tyson's fingers rest on the soundboard, but he doesn't need to touch it. Everything is already in place. I stop in front of my parents' table. The projector behind me glows dark now, but the weight of what it showed still hangs in the air. Guests lean forward slightly, some phones still raised, others lowered to their laps. The chandeliers cast warm light on faces turned toward us, and the scent of flowers mixes with the sugar of cut cake. I keep my voice even. This reception isn't a party anymore, I say. This is a record. You tried to write one version. I'm writing another. Right here, with everyone watching. My father stares at his hands. My mother fidgets with her napkin. Their posture is stiff, but their eyes give them away. I lift a folder from the side table Ruth set up. It holds copies of the prescription receipt, the audio transcript, and a timeline of last night's events. I lay each sheet flat on the tablecloth in front of them, one by one, like exhibits. My movements are precise and deliberate. This, I say quietly enough, for only them and the closest guest to hear, is the sedative you bought. This is the timestamp. This is Chloe's voice giving orders. This is you standing by. My father's jaw tightens. My mother's lips move, but no sound comes out. I straighten and address the room again. For years, this family cultivated an image. My sister was the face of it. My parents, the architects. I went away and built my own life. When I came back, they tried to stage manage me the way they stage managed everything else. Murmurs ripple through the hall. Someone near the back says, "This is worse than anything on TV." Another says, "She's building a case right here." I look at the guests, my tone still calm. You're not a jury. You're witnesses. This isn't about punishment. It's about truth. Then I turn back to my parents. Do you want to say anything? My father lifts his head, eyes hard. You're making a spectacle, he says, voice low but audible. You could have handled this privately. I tilt my head. So could you, I reply. My mother's voice is a whisper. We just wanted everything to be perfect. Perfect isn't drugging someone, I answer. A guest gasps softly. Another leans forward, recording. I keep my gaze steady. This isn't a courtroom with lawyers and judges, but it is a kind of court because truth has consequences, not the ones you scripted, but the real ones. My father glances around at the guests, clearly aware of every phone pointed his way. He opens his mouth, closes it, and looks down again. My mother dabs at her eyes. I take a small step back to include the room again. If any of you here are wondering why I haven't called the police, remember, this isn't about a headline or a charge sheet. This is about breaking a cycle. This is about making sure their version of events isn't the only one left standing. A woman at a nearby table nods slowly. A man murmurs, "That's accountability." I turn slightly and signal Ruth. She steps forward with her tablet and places it on the table between us. The screen shows a simple slide. Date, time, action. No photos now, just a clean timeline. Transparency, Ruth says quietly, almost like a teacher ending a lecture. I pick up the microphone from the stand and hold it loosely. My voice stays measured. My parents and my sister chose to act in secret. They counted on silence. I've ended that here. No yelling, no drama, just facts. The guests are completely silent now, except for the occasional cough or scrape of a chair. The chandeliers hum faintly with the air conditioning. The smell of coffee drifts from the service station at the back. I lower the microphone. You can eat, drink, dance if you want. But now you know. That's all. I set the microphone back on the stand. Ruth retreats to her post. Tyson checks the cables. David rises and comes to stand beside me. He doesn't speak. He just places a hand lightly at the small of my back. My father pushes his chair back slowly and stands. We made mistakes, he says stiffly. We thought we were protecting the family. I look at him without blinking. You were protecting an image, I say. He swallows hard. Maybe, he says, voice lower now. My mother stays seated, eyes on the tablecloth. I glance at the guests again. If you've ever wondered what family drama really looks like, you're looking at it, I say. It's not a headline, it's not a story, it's choices and consequences, and people deciding what matters more, truth or appearance. No one moves. The room feels like the stillness before a verdict, even though no verdict is coming. I take a breath, letting my shoulders relax slightly. We're done with hiding, I say simply. That's enough. I return the folder to the side table, stacking the papers neatly. My movements are slow and deliberate. The projector goes dark again. Tyson powers down the board. Ruth folds her arms, eyes scanning the room. The bandleader looks at me for a cue. I nod once. He starts a low, neutral piece of music, something soft enough to fill the silence without breaking it. Guests stir, whispering to each other. Some stand, some sit. David moves closer, his arm brushing mine. You're steady, he murmurs. I'm steady, I reply quietly. At the far end of the hall, a waiter begins pouring coffee. Plates of cake clink as guests pick up forks again. A few approach Ruth quietly, asking for copies of the evidence. She nods but doesn't hand anything out yet. I sit down at the head table again, fold my hands on the linen, and look out over the room. My parents remain at their table, my father now seated again, my mother staring into her lap. The empty chair where Chloe had sat stays empty. The scent of flowers, cake, and coffee fills the hall. The light from the chandeliers gleams off glassware. Phones lie face up on tables, screens still lit from recording. David sits beside me, one hand resting on my arm. Ruth stands at my shoulder. Tyson coils a cable at the booth. The band plays softly. I lift my water glass and take a slow sip. My breathing stays even. My scalp tingles faintly under the veil, but I don't adjust it. My eyes scan the room once more. Calm, alert, unflinching. The band's low music drifts through the hall like background noise as coffee cups clink and plates are cleared. I rise from the head table, smoothing the skirt of my dress with steady hands. My scalp feels cool under the veil, my body upright and calm. David stands a beat later, moving with me without any words. Ruth follows at a respectful distance. Tyson coils his last cable and closes the AV booth, glancing up at me for confirmation. I give a slight nod. I cross to my parents' table. The guests nearby fall silent, phones lowered but eyes fixed. My father sits rigidly, hands folded in front of him. My mother looks up, eyes red but dry. The napkin she's been twisting lies frayed in her lap. I speak evenly, not a whisper but not a shout. I'm done with the image you built, I say. You can decide what you do next. I've decided who I am. My father exhales, long and quiet. We've lost you, he says. You lost me when you chose control over respect, I answer. My mother opens her mouth, then closes it, staring at the tablecloth. I turn away from them without another word. The guests part as I walk back toward the center of the hall. David's hand rests lightly at my back, Ruth's steady presence at my flank. The scent of flowers and coffee is stronger now with the cake gone. At the microphone stand, I stop and look out over the room. My voice is clear but calm. This is still my wedding, I say. I won't let it end on a lie. I'm not asking you to choose sides. I'm asking you to see me as I am. I'm building my life on truth and accountability, not on appearances. A ripple moves through the crowd. Some people clap quietly, others simply nod. I set the microphone back down. Thank you for coming, I add. Enjoy the rest of the evening if you wish. Then I step down from the platform and take David's hand. We walk together to the side of the hall where the exit to the patio stands open. Guests watch, but no one blocks us. The warm air outside smells of pine and cut grass. The sky is streaked with the gold of a setting Sunday. On the patio, tables hold untouched glasses of champagne. A child chases bubbles across the flagstones. Ruth joins us, closing the door behind her. Tyson slips out a moment later, tucking the flash drives into his jacket. It's all backed up, he says quietly. No one can bury it. Good, I reply. David takes a deep breath beside me. You're free of them now, he says softly. I'm free because I told the truth, I answer. Ruth touches my shoulder. You handled it, she says. No screaming, no meltdown, just facts. That's stronger than any revenge they expected. I nod. The evening breeze lifts the edge of my veil. It's not revenge, I say. It's reality. We stand there for a moment, the three of us, while inside the murmur of voices resumes. The band's music drifts faintly through the open door. David squeezes my hand. "We don't have to stay," he says. I glance back through the glass. My parents remain at their table, surrounded by people whispering and staring. The empty chair where Chloe sat is still empty. The screens are dark now. The hall looks smaller, like a stage after the curtain falls. I turn back to David. "We'll finish what we came to do," I say. We re-enter the hall together. Guests shift aside. Someone starts clapping again, not loud but steady. I acknowledge it with a slight nod. We move to the center of the room. The officiant, who has been standing near the bar watching everything, steps forward hesitantly. "Would you like me to finalize the paperwork?" he asks. "Yes," I say simply. We sign the marriage certificate at a small table off to the side, just as planned. David signs, then I sign. The officiant signs last, his hands a little shaky. "Congratulations," he says quietly. David kisses my cheek, a brief, solid gesture. Cameras click, but no one shouts. The guests murmur, but the tension has shifted. I straighten and look around. "You've all witnessed something unusual today," I say. "You've seen what happens when appearances crack. You've also seen what happens when someone refuses to hide. That's the life David and I are choosing." A teacher from my old high school approaches and hugs me briefly. "Proud of you," she whispers. "Thank you," I reply. We return to the head table. Ruth stands nearby, tablet under her arm. Tyson gives a small salute-like gesture from the booth and starts packing up. The band picks a light, steady tune. Guests drift to the dance floor again. Some cautious, some relieved. David and I stand, take each other's hands, and step onto the floor. The music flows around us. For the first time all day, my shoulders relax slightly. I move with him, each step simple, no performance. People watch, but the watching feels different now. The chandeliers glow warmer as the sun sets outside. Plates clatter softly. The scent of flowers is fading as candles are lit. Ruth leans against a pillar, arms folded, eyes on me but her expression calm. Tyson wheels the AV cart out, slipping through the kitchen door. I rest my head lightly against David's shoulder, not hiding my scalp, just breathing. The lace of my dress brushes the floor. Our steps match the slow rhythm of the music. Guests begin talking quietly to each other, the buzz of normal conversation returning like a tide. We finish the dance and return to our seats. Coffee cups and dessert plates are being cleared. Some guests come up to shake hands with David, some with me. A few simply nod as they pass. The air feels lighter, like a weight shifted off the room. At our table, Ruth sets a small envelope in front of me. "Copies of everything," she murmurs. "Your choice, what to do with them now." I slide the envelope into my clutch without looking at it. "Thank you," I say. David squeezes my hand. "We can leave whenever you want," he says quietly. I take a slow sip of water. My breathing is steady, my eyes scanning the hall one last time. My parents sit quietly at their table, not speaking. The empty chair stays empty. Guests begin collecting their things, some hugging each other, some looking thoughtful. I stand, David rising with me. We walk toward the patio doors again, our steps even. The evening light has deepened to orange and purple. The smell of pine and grass drifts in. The sound of the band fades behind us. Outside, the air is cool and quiet. A car waits at the curb. Ruth joins us briefly. "You did it," she says softly. "On your terms." I nod once. Yes. David opens the car door for me. I slide in, the lace of my dress settling around me. He gets in beside me, starts the engine. Ruth lifts a hand in a small wave as we pull away. The town rolls by outside the window, familiar streets in the fading light. My scalp tingles in the breeze from the open window but feels like my own now, not a mark of shame. David drives silently, his hand resting on mine. We cross the bridge out of town. The water below catches the last light of the Sunday. My breathing is even, my posture straight. The day has been stripped of illusion. What's left is solid. I squeeze David's hand and look out at the horizon. The veil flutters lightly against my shoulder. The sky ahead is open,